And finally, perhaps the highest profile heat check scouting report of the 2025 NBA draft cycle, Duke forward Cooper Flagg. Hailing from Newport, Maine, Flagg's been on NBA draft radars for some time now, seeing a myriad of Player of the Year awards at both Nokomis and Montverde, where he reclassified to the 2024 class and became the #1 player, signing on with Duke. Flagg was effectively a superstar with the Blue Devils, earning the National Player of the Year award, the Wooden Award, and leading them to a Final Four appearance, all as a true freshman. Across 37 games, he averaged 19.2 points, 7.5 rebounds, 4.2 assists, and 1.4 steals and blocks apiece, while shooting 48% overall, 39% from 3, and 84% at the line. Flagg played a good chunk of his season at Duke at 17 years old, meaning he'll be just 18.5 on draft night 2025. Here's how Heat Check works. I'm going to identify one draft prospect and grade them on what I believe to be the most generally important skills and aspects of their game: athleticism, scoring, defense, passing and playmaking, and overall feel for the game. After those 5, I'll grade one additional skill relative to that prospect that I think is going to have the biggest effect on their stock. That will be deemed the swing skill. Each skill will be graded on the Heat Check chart, with ranges from freezing all the way to scorching. When that's all said and done, I'll divvy out one final overall score. Starting with Flagg's athleticism, I've gone with the hot grade. He's a good athlete packed within a great frame, giving him a really functional skill set that helps drive his two-way impact. Flagg stands at a legit 6'9" with some decent bulk and boasts a lengthy wingspan somewhere in the range of 7 foot, give or take a little. He's an extremely fluid and connected mover for his size, with a rare quickness and coordination that most players his size simply don't have. The speed aspect of his athleticism suffers somewhat from how big he truly is, making him appear a little more lumbery than he actually is. Vertically, Flagg's quick off the floor and can blast off, be it in the open floor, driving down the lane, or even off 2 feet for dunker spot jams or even putbacks. He's not explosive on a play-to-play basis, but he can pull out some eye-popping stuff. Flagg's not the absolute biggest, fastest, or strongest, but he's minimum B+ in every single one of these athletic areas, and when you pair this with the fact he's 6'9" with a high motor and massive amounts of effort and will, you've got a great toolsy athletic baseline. For Cooper Flagg's scoring, I've gone with scorching. He may not have the most aesthetically pleasing offensive game in regard to the pros, but the numbers and eye test still assert that he's one of the best scorers in this class and should continue to be elite at the NBA level. Across his 37 games, Flagg led the Blue Devils in scoring with 19.2 points per game, shooting a blistering 48% overall, 39% from 3 on 3.5 attempts, and an elite 84% from the line on nearly 6 attempts per game. He posted a 59% true shooting on 27% usage, and finished with one of the highest offensive box plus minuses in the class at 9.7. Much like the rest of his game, Flagg is an opportunistic hybrid on offense, able to toggle between on and off ball roles, as well as efficiency in finishing at the rim or more distanced bucket getting. For the most part, he plays a more wingy, face-up style, but has a big enough frame to dominate in more traditional forward roles too. He's a true Swiss Army knife, able to handle, score from all over the court, and even divert and blend in when there's another hot hand. At the first level, Flagg scored about half of his points off field goals at the rim, finishing a great 58% of those shots using his frame, strength, ability to play through contact, and loads of touch to see the ball through. The pure percentage is good, albeit not elite, but the volume was great at 216 total rim attempts. For reference, he had pretty similar rim attempts per game to Dylan Harper, thought of to be one of the best downhill forces we've seen in some time. One of the key factors in allowing Flagg to attack so much was the threat of his jumper, which has had question marks coming into the season. He shot 37% on all jump shots, making a great 38% of all catch and shoot shots, and cashing in on a decent 36% of all dribble jumpers. Flagg scored the bulk of his points in 3 major ways: as the pick and roll handler, in transition, and spotting up. A great hint towards his versatility and malleability on offense. He was by far the most efficient in transition, getting out as much as possible and cashing in on 61% of all shots there with forcefulness. His pick and roll prowess is among the most translatable and tantalizing of his skills, with ball screens giving him necessary space to dive at favorable matchups or fire off clean, efficient jumpers. Flagg's success in spotting up lies in just how much of a threat he was shooting the ball, which wasn't a given coming into his collegiate season. His shooting in general has taken a massive leap in recent years, offering much cleaner mechanics and in turn numbers. He shot 40% from 3 in transition, 40% spotting up, 43% coming off screens, essentially calming any fears that his shooting would be some work in progress this season. While he likely won't be an extremely high volume ranged shooter, I have little doubt his 3-point shot is going to be a weapon with how much he's improved in such a short time. The buzz around Cooper Flagg's offense is always, what is he? Can he be a #1 option? And the beauty of the tape he put out at Duke is that he can be whatever you need him to be. If you're in need of a creator, he'll be capable. Want him on either side of a pick and roll? He's efficient at both. If your lead guard is riding a high, Flagg can hit open catch and shoot shots and clean things up on the interior. Cooper Flagg to me is a star-bound offensive chameleon in the best way possible. For Cooper Flagg's defense, I've gone with scorching. For however good he was as a scorer with Duke, he projects to be just as good, if not better, on defense. Across his 37 games, he totaled 1.4 steals and 1.4 blocks, finishing with an elite defensive box plus minus of 6.7. He's a terrific playmaker on this end, having totaled nearly 3 per game and turning plenty of that into offense. Flagg is an aggressively instinctual defender, using his combination of elite physical tools, hyper-awareness, motor, footwork, and instincts to drive impact on this side of the ball. He's a relentless force on ball and a looming one off of it, giving the impression he could make a play near anywhere at the drop of a hat. Flagg's at his best as a potent weak side defender or a roamer, using his massive frame, as well as phenomenal court reading, awareness, and timing to help teammates out. He can close the gap from one side of the block to the other, and his shot blocking timing and instincts can every so often rival that of 7-footers. He can generate steals with his long arms and attentiveness. If you throw a lazy pass near him, there's about a 50% chance it ends with a Flagg transition slam. On the ball, Flagg's typically strong in bowing up against front court players, though he'll need to fill out just a bit more to rival truly physical 4s and 5s, and his sneaky quickness and elite recovery tools make him a threat on the perimeter too. He's handsy and disruptive, but more often than not is good enough about simply positioning himself in the way of shot makers. Flagg is also exceptionally positionally versatile on a case-to-case basis. Guarding 1 through 5 is an often overstated term, but Flagg is knocking on the door of this with his blend of skills and tenacity on the defensive end, making for a near-perfect NBA fit. I'm not yet positive that Flagg's defensive prowess at the NBA level is going to be necessarily award-worthy, but for a player that's going to have a potentially higher usage offensive role, I feel really great about the seamlessness, versatility, and general positive impact you'll get from him on this end. With just how good a scorer and defender he is, Flagg's passing and playmaking game has flown somewhat under the radar, but he's a legitimately talented ball mover with vision, accuracy, velocity, touch, the full package. Across his 37 games at Duke, Flagg dished 156 total assists to 78 turnovers, 4.2 to 2.1 per game, good for a perfect and impressive 2-to-1 assist to turnover ratio. He finished with a phenomenal 27% assist percentage, well above where his archetype usually lands, and a turnover percentage of just 11.5. At 6'9", Flagg has the height to see over defenders with ease, thriving in face-up situations, in the short roll, and even creatively and reactively in moving around the court. He's already gifted in recognizing how his own scoring gravity can shift the defense, and he was poised in handling ball pressure and doubles, an especially important skill given how much he'll probably have the ball. His passing game is also an important complement to his scoring as a whole, with the threat of facilitation looming while he's working his way downhill, posting up, and in the short roll, that creates hesitancy from the defense to commit and could be another #1 type notch in his belt. Overall, Flagg showed off potential hub tendencies at Duke. And granted, he had perfect weapons around him, shooters in Con Knippel and Isaiah Evans, great guards like James and Proctor, and one of the best rim runners in the nation in Kamon Malawach. But I don't personally fault his stats much here, as NBA squads will custom fit rosters to his liking too. Overall, Flagg's an already good passer playmaker with room for improvement, adding to his all-around game. It doesn't necessarily need to be said, considering he was supposed to be at prom and instead was the most impactful basketball player in the country, but Flagg's an immensely high-field prospect with a great package of physical tools and high IQ. He saw a nearly unprecedentedly good college season, rivaling some of the best true freshman seasons we've ever seen alongside Zion Williamson, Anthony Davis, and more. His box plus minus, an advanced metric used to gauge his overall impact when on court, landed at an astonishing 16.3, rivaling Zion's near untouchable respectable 20.1 and AD 17.2. Regardless of how you feel about nerdy basketball stats, being mentioned in the same one-and-done breath as those two is pretty incredible. And Flagg's eye test more than backs up his statistical impact. He owns a massive lengthy frame, he can toggle between punishing physicality and nimbleness, he can score at all three levels, is a multi-tooled, multi-positional defender, and even has above average passing chops, and maybe most importantly, he simply makes those around him better, and that air is pretty specific to some all-time greats. If all this wasn't reason enough to buy Cooper Flagg stock, he's got an edge to him, competitive drive, motor, all things worth betting on. Cooper Flagg is an exceptionally complete prospect, so there's no real swing skill that's going to drastically raise or lower his stock at this point. But there were two major things that were probably categorized prior to his season as that, and that was his shooting and handling. To start, the 18-year-old blew expectations in both of these areas out of the water, despite both probably still being some of his weaker, still developing skills. The shooting we've covered somewhat, so I think handling is probably the best spot he has the most groundwork to make up. Flagg's handle is pretty advanced for his size at 6'9", but a snappier handle with an array of advanced dribble moves would catapult him well into the #1 scoring option tier in the NBA. Right now, his dribble driving is mostly confined to straight line with a few crossovers mixed in. He can't yet dribble the air out of the ball to get to hard to reach spots, but rather uses his blend of speed and strength creation to move defenders around and find gaps. And like any prospect, he can be prone to losing it ever so often. Ultimately, I'm far from worried about Flagg's ball handling. More so, I think this will be another area he improves in as he continues to develop what's really a high floor, high ceiling game. The grade. I've given Cooper Flagg a grade of 9.5. That'll be my second highest ever, only behind Victor Wembanyama, and will obviously land him as my #1 prospect in the 2025 NBA draft. There's always questions and narratives surrounding the #1 pick at the draft. Who's it gonna be? Are they worthy of being #1? This year, we've essentially skipped right past all that and have come to how good is Cooper Flagg gonna be in the NBA? And that seems pretty indicative of a good draft pick to me. Flagg impacts the game in so many ways, there's essentially no way to fail here. Even if the offensive ceiling is less high than some think, he's still a morphable defensive weapon, an above average passer, rapidly improving at off-ball skills. And in addition to all these great things you're already getting, his position and two-way archetype are among the most coveted league-wide. And more often than not, it directly attributes to postseason success if developed correctly. I think Flagg will be a floor and ceiling raiser at the NBA level, a perennial all-star, a multi-time all-NBA player, and I'm extremely excited to see who lands his talents. That's it for this one. Let me know what you think of Cooper Flagg. What's your grade him, where you draft him, drop you want to see in the next heat check. We'll see you next time.